In astronomy and cosmology, the geocentric model is a description of the universe with Earth at the center. According to the geocentric model, the sun, moon, stars, and planets all orbit Earth. This was the predominant understanding of the cosmos in many ancient civilizations. In the 4th century BC, Greek philosophers Aristotle and Plato were public figures who were known as proponents of geocentrism. The astronomical predictions of the geocentric model by Claudius Ptolemy, developed around 100 AD, served as the basis for preparing astronomical charts for over 1500 years, holding prominence as the consensus until the late 16th century. It wasn't until then that the heliocentric models of Copernicus, Galileo, and Kepler gradually began to supersede the commonly accepted cosmology of antiquity. There was much resistance to the transition between these two theories, recorded all the way into the 1900s, re-emerging again in recent decades. But over 2,000 years ago, when geocentrism was widely understood as fact, inventors created tools and instruments based on their observations of the heavens. These devices were used for an astounding variety of purposes, with the common denominator being they were all developed and functioned contingent upon all the celestial bodies revolving around the Earth. The Antikythera mechanism is an ancient Greek hand-powered orrery, or a mechanical model of the universe used to represent the positions and motions of the heavenly bodies in relation to the Earth. Known by some scholars as the world's first analog computer, the oldest known Antikythera is dated by archaeologists to as early as 150 BC. It was used for astronomical, calendrical, and navigational purposes and was used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses decades in advance, down to the specific date and time of each phenomenon. This complex piece of engineering, consisting of 30 bronze gears connected to dials and pointers, even depicts the retrograde motions of the 5 planets recognized by ancient Greek cosmology. Almost all of the mechanism's gear wheels could fit within a space only 25 millimeters deep, and had separate hands for the sun, moon, and each of the 5 planets. A rotating ball showed the phase of the moon, and dials on the back acted as a calendar, showing the time of lunar and solar eclipses. Inscriptions explained which stars rose and set on any particular date. Michael Edmonds, a Cardiff University emeritus professor of astrophysics, wrote in the Journal of Contemporary Physics, "Even though at the time the Greeks were aware of the possibility of a sun-centered view of our solar system, the Antikythera mechanism was still firmly geocentric in all its models." An early astrolabe was invented in the Hellenistic civilization by Apollonius of Perga between 220 and 150 BC. This astronomical instrument was a handheld model of the universe used before the development of the sextant.
When you have an astrolabe, when you understand an astrolabe, you've got the universe in the palm of your hand.
Its various functions make it an elaborate analog device capable of multiple astronomical calculations. The astrolabe is able to measure the altitude of a celestial body above the horizon, day or night. It can be used to identify stars or planets. It can tell you when the sun will rise. It can triangulate the latitude of your location given local time, or vice versa to determine the time of day. Astrolabes can even measure the height of a building as a surveying tool. In classical antiquity, the Islamic Golden Age, and the European Middle Ages, astrolabes were popular for all of these purposes. In its basic form, it consists of a disc with the edge marked in degrees and a pivoted pointer. One widely employed variety, the planispheric astrolabe, enabled astronomers to calculate the position of the sun and prominent stars with respect to both the horizon and the meridian. This was accomplished by aligning the astrolabe perpendicular to the horizon. Popularized in the 1700s, the sextant is a navigational instrument, so named because of its graduated arc encompassing 1/6 of a circle, or 60 degrees. It uses a mounted telescope and mirrors for measuring the angular distances between objects. By calculating the angle between the level horizon and at least 3 celestial bodies, a user could determine their position according to latitude and longitude. This kind of celestial navigation is dependent upon the fixed order of the stars in what modern astronomy calls the celestial sphere. The Encyclopedia Britannica defines the celestial sphere as the apparent surface of the heavens on which the stars seem to be fixed for the purpose of establishing coordinate systems to mark the positions of heavenly bodies. A planisphere is a star chart and analog computing instrument in the form of two adjustable disks that rotate on a common pivot. The rear disk has a map of the unchanging constellations printed on it, while the front has an oval window or horizon overlay which determines what part of the sky is visible at a time you choose. It can be adjusted to display the visible stars for any time and date and can assist in learning how to recognize the stars and constellations. You're watching Uncommon Ground. I'm Wes Blaze. God bless.